and I'm from Morph 3D. Before we get into actually talking about the product, I want to introduce you to the creator of what you just saw, and a man that really in this space doesn't need much of an introduction. As a cinematics and digital artist and as a developer himself, we are thrilled to partner with John Chalfant. So I'd like to introduce you to him.
Hi. Thank you. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what you just saw. It's a trailer that we put together very quickly, and I say we, really it was just myself and one other artist and then a couple of freelancers on the side, using sort of the Morph 3D, or completely using the Morph 3D characters as a base, and then sort of, building a bunch of sets and environments to go around it. The entire project, about 3 weeks or so. For the core development, it was rendered on the Amazon cloud. Everything was 3ds Max and V-Ray, and then comped in After Effects. That's about it. I don't know if you guys have any questions, or... No? All right. Well, there you go.
Thanks, John. While we've been around the space creating really cool content like you've seen in other industries and spaces, we're kind of the new kids on the block here in this space. And just a few months ago, we released our first character product, our first character pack. We approached about 10,000 downloads on the asset store. Really gave us some great feedback of what you guys were looking for. And in that process, we've been working very hard to develop a true character creation system for you. So now I'm going to introduce you to a colleague and friend of mine, Jesse Gomez, who is an award-winning developer. He's the man behind these products, our lead engineer, and so with that, I'll turn the time over to him.
So just before I begin, how many people here are developers? Who develops? Do we have any artists in the crowd? I just want to get, okay, cool. So then there's a part of the talk that I'm going to make sure that I cover for artists in case you're interested. So we're Morph 3D. I just went into screensaver here. So we're Morph 3D, and what we are is we're a sister company to an existing company called Daz 3D. Daz 3D has been around for 15 years. They have 600 paid artists that work for them. We call them PAs. And they make a living. They produce great artwork for a very healthy ecosystem for artists. And it's a very dynamic system. We give away Daz gives away the tool and the rendering engine for free. It's called Daz Studio. What Morph 3D is about a game-specific version of that. Basically, what we're currently doing, this is phase one, we are taking a lot of that content, we are running it through a very complicated and streamlined QA process and down conversion process. A lot of the content in Daz Studio is like film and print quality. We're trying to bring it down to like 5,000 polygons, which is what we've done for the content that you can download today in the asset store. And then we wrap, there's a ton of metadata that goes in there. Like we know when something comes in through our system, inside of Unity, we know if it's a shirt or a shoe or a left shoe versus a right shoe. We wrap up all of that information in our API layer, which we give straight to developers so that they can do really cool, interesting, creative things. Build MMOs is an obvious application. In a minute, I'll show you some demos that I made up. They're sort of hello world demos for beginners and just to sort of be inspirational. And that's sort of phase one. This is what most of the talk will be basically. Here's where we're at, and here's what you can do today. I do want to touch on, especially for artists, what we're going to do in the future. The phase one is developer-centric. We're putting content on the Unity Asset Store for developers to play with, for them to do really cool things, to wow us, to do things we never imagined. But we know that there's certain limitations that you're going to have going from high poly content to low poly content. Mobile limitations being an obvious example that you can think of. John Chalfant has spent many years in the industry making cinema scenes and stuff for Blizzard, but he's also done a lot of print work where he's up-res, like most of the Game Informer covers that you've seen, this guy right here. And what he does is they give him low-res game assets that have been pre-optimized for the game without any thought of going up to print. And he up-reses them. So he's very familiar, coming from Blizzard with game-optimized content. He's also very familiar with up-resing that all the way up to film. So what we're working with him to do, and why we made this trailer for you, is that we're putting him through the DAZ system so he's becoming a DAZ content creator. And he's helping us develop the next generation of content, which will be game up. And so today, when we talk about what we can give you as what the content that we give developers and everything, know that in the future, in the very near future, we'll be releasing tools specifically for artists, game artists, so that they can be a part of this thriving ecosystem and make great original things without any limits. Okay? So let me show you, not a video of the thing, but the actual thing working. Altered Beast will actually become important. Here we go. Let's hope that the demo gods are kind to us. So let me go ahead and delete this guy. I was doing a demo for someone a little earlier. The way it works is you go to the Unity Asset Store. We have two current core offerings. We call them the starter packs. There's a male and a female. The male and the female both come with 350 morphs. They come with compatible clothing. And again, there's that API layer. We even put a GUI that uses the public API call, so you have an example of how to morph and make characters and put stuff on. And we'll just do it now. And so basically, you have the content in. You have to do a re-import the first time because sometimes the DLL, which we're about to take giant chunks of and release so that people can actually edit it. I hope that's going to be exciting for everyone. It doesn't necessarily come in first, so you do have to re-import. You have this wonderful man here, and then you have on the right, you get the character manager. And we have content packs, so that can be anything. That can be clothing, that can be hair, that can be swords, whatever. You drag it into the thing, and it works. Now, of course, it's not going to do it for me. We'll just make a new scene. The demo gods were not kind. Ooh. So it's just drag and drop content. There's all this fun metadata going on there. And you push play. And a lot of what we do, we try to do in the runtime so that we don't generate lost stuff. Here, let me pan this around so you can actually, let me turn him around. And then you push play, and then you've got access to all this really fun stuff. I'm just going to show you the sort of GUI example. If you're an artist or you're a developer, and you need to just sort of make a quick prototype to sort of, so we can go down to 5 years old. That's one I just lead with the strong one there. We've also got reptiles. There's a reptile head. There's a reptile body. We don't have a tail yet, but we will be doing appendages at some point soon. We can do a minotaur for you. And minotaur should be tall. So we have I think it's called leg length. So then we can, and so I'm just showing you some big examples here. There's 350 things, and they get down pretty detailed. So if we wanted to, and we do, I think, right? If we wanted to go down and let's just do this guy's nose. Let me get rid of the minotaur features so that. Let's just do the size. So if for some reason, the character's nose is too small, bam, problem solved. We have asymmetry. We can do right eyebrow, left eyebrow. There's like a snarl. There's facial expressions. There's visemes. So I've been doing through the search part here, but we actually have these grouped for you for ease of use. Body, head. We call them phonemes, but mostly it's because when we brought up visemes, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a difference. I'm used to using phonemes, but they're really visemes. So you have 16 shapes. You can do text-to-speech and all sorts of really cool things. There's already, within 24 hours, someone already, I think the name is Salsa, I believe. They already announced compatibility with the system to do text-to-speech. And then we have proportion stuff. If you just want to deal with sort of main proportions, height, shortness, shoulder width, which is kind of fun. You can do that. So those are the morphs, and then we have the clothes, of course, and you can pop those on and off. We will just take off his vest, or maybe his shirt. Actually, do another demo, but it's real simple. And again, this GUI is just using the public API calls. So everything that you can do to manipulate the attachment points are in beta. I definitely don't want to tempt the gods. The presentation guides for that one. But we do have an attachment point system. We're giving you, if you've ever done iOS development, they give you this They give you a layout sort of manager. You get callbacks. Our attachment point system is aware of the right and left hand. So what you do is you make your content for the right hand, and when you put it in the left hand, it auto inverts the transforms for you at your leisure. There's a checkbox. And then we have layouts. So for example, one of the cool things that's a side effect of this system is if you put an attachment point on the back and you start loading your character up with stuff, traditionally 100 items somehow magically fit in a tiny backpack. We're giving you the ability to say, well, actually, I'd like to show all those items for some reason. If I have 50 swords, the guy's actually got to carry them, and I'd like to programmatically decide how they go. I could do a fan layout. I could just sort of stack them like that crazy creature old ladies from Labyrinth, if you've ever seen that movie. That's the one I keep thinking of. You sort of start getting hunched over. Coming up in the next few, we're in a QA process. After that, we'll be doing the next round of things. We're doing texture blending, which will allow you, when you activate like a reptile morph, it'll actually, you have the option to blend in the morphs. So what we do right now is we give you the materials that go with the creatures so that you can use them. But we'll be continually adapting the system to be contextually aware of the things that you're trying to do with the character. For example, there's a zombie morph. We will be doing the texture blending for the zombie thing. We will allow you, of course, to change out what you would like that to be. But let's say you've got a zombie walk. Why can't we, as the person turns into a zombie, we can and will allow the walk to start changing too to match. It just sort of makes sense as you go down this path. Anything you can think of, bring it up to us. If we haven't thought of it, we want it to be in the system. So before I go on to sort of hello world code, is there any, and have I lost anyone here? I see some smiles. That's a good sign. No? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir, it totally is. So there, it's there. These are actually game objects you can add components onto. And what we do is we do have a level of detail system. We're still working on making it more streamlined and compliant with Unity's lotting system, but it's working in a similar way right now. What we do is for the main figure, we provide you with the high-level raw content, which is 30 to 33-ish thousand polys. But then it goes down to 15, 10, and 5. And in the future, we're doing a game-up system, so those will change dramatically. And yeah, it's just game objects. You have all your native access to them. But you also have additional stuff. So in order to allow you to move the character in runtime and have them be 5 years old, if you're familiar with Mechanim or whatever, there's like bind pose transformations you have to do. There's some tricks in there. So we have, and some of those things will alter the shared mesh, which could write to disk and ruin the game. So what we have in here is we have what we call the core mesh. And so we're providing an extra level of features, which essentially gives you some runtime access to mesh instances. So the first, it's similar to the way if you just do material, or material. If you do shared skin mesh dot material, if it hasn't been called before, it'll call an instance and put it in the slot for you so you can make changes without permanently altering things on disk. I see some blank faces. Anyone who hasn't dealt with it, you won't have to deal with it with our system at all. So I guess I'll just keep on moving. Keep moving on with the next features. So I'm going to go ahead and do thank you. I'm going to go ahead and do some hello world code stuff. Does that sound interesting to anyone? So I was on a train on the way out here. I had no internet, which means I had no documentation, which means I had to make a bunch of demos off the top of my head. And this is where Altered Beast comes into play. So if you haven't seen Altered Beast, anyone seen Altered Beast? Played Altered Beast? Okay, so there's my crew right there in the back. Basically what happens is a great, I think the Team Shinobi made this back in the day, right? So basically this all-powerful guy says, I can't save my daughter myself, but I can bring you back from the dead, would you please? So what happens is you go around and these are 2D assets. Why is this relevant to what I want to discuss? Well, he gets powered up right here, and his body just changed. And I haven't really seen that kind of thing happen in 3D content, and like you rarely ever see it. If you do, it's a very particular effect. Well, let's just go ahead and do that. He gets powered up, he gets bigger. He has 3 phases. He gets really big, he gets sort of awkwardly big, actually. So as a reminder, I think, as just like a PSA, please don't work out too much. That's how big he gets. And then he turns into this little creature. In this case, a werewolf. He can turn into a lizard. So what I did was I gave myself an hour time limit. I have this thing called Altered Guy. We don't need to save that. And I've just got a bare bones scene for you. And basically, the coins represent power-ups. And what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through here, and oh, hold on, demo gods. Here we go. So he starts out a little skinny, and it gets a little bigger. Then it gets sort of really big. And then he turns into a green lizard guy. So pardon the seams on the textures. I did that myself. This is why you shouldn't let your developers do art. So anyway, I tried to use Crazy Bump for the first time. It was fun. So that's the demo. I could do it again. We can, but what I thought I would do is I would just go up into the code, and everything's going to start the same way. Basically, you would attach your script to the figure itself, where the character manager exists, and then you get the character manager. And so there's this thing called power up when touch coin. I hope that's pretty self-explanatory. And what I've done is I've put reference to the pants and the shirt and the figure, because we do pop the pants and the shirt and the figure on and off, or turn them on and off. And then I've got a list of the blend shape names. And there's a few ways you can get those. You can do them through search. We also provide a way for you to rename them. I won't go into all that, but basically there's a list of the blend shape names for each power-up level. I'm just going to, when you touch a coin, increment a level, tell it to please, quote, visualize my awesome power. That's what we do. So start, visualize my awesome power, power level 0, and all we do is, in this particular case, we're swapping out the material directly. I don't remember why I chose to do it that way versus the API. And then all we're doing is using a thing called lean tween to, for each of the blend shapes, which I call BS in this. That's probably unfortunate. But for each of the blend shapes in the list that I move, they're just names, they're just words. All we do is we tween from 0 to 100 and on the character manager. And then it will handle syncing up the clothes for you. It'll do all that stuff for you. It's just automatical, right? And then, of course, going from one to the other, you do need to remove the last power level. So that's just a replication of the thing, but I've inverted the numbers. And then we do it on collecting a coin. It's just if it's named coin, then please visualize my awesome power. And that's the extent of what you would need to do to create. I mean, a whole game was sort of based around like just one cool effect. So that's that. And then I'll do another demo. Actually, I should probably do the fancy hair thing. So this is really sort of to show you that we're continuously upgrading all the time. And I'm going to show you this thing. And so who here has messed with the blacksmith stuff at all? Like looked at their shaders and all the wrinkles and stuff? Isn't it like crazy? So I live with those things. And we're actually borrowing a page from that particular playbook. If you notice the hair, which I think I can zoom into it. So, he doesn't have hair. Well, I'll just go ahead and show you the hair as is. We have this script now. In the blacksmith demo, what they actually do is they have this dynamic script that duplicates the hair and then rotates it, or pushes it out and does a Z depth thing. And so if you look at the original hair that we have, it's not as nice as this. If you download it today, it works for like a third-person overview shot, but it wouldn't really be great for like a close-up. I don't know if you noticed that before I push play on this. But we're actually, we're constantly evolving. We're going to be pushing this out, and this is going through QA. We have an insiders club. I don't really know what the official name for it is right now. But going back to the 350 morphs that we have something like 2,000 that we're able to use in our system. And what we did was we said sort of a hello world back in Amsterdam, and anyone who signed up, we sent them out an app that we just bare bones, like, here's all the morphs. Anyone who's interested, go through the morphs, vote on what you want. So everything that's in here, people picked. We're very responsive and very concerned about your needs. And so if you sign up for the insider program, for the behind-the-scenes stuff, we'll give you access to all these codes, the hello worlds, where like I'm personally talking to people, Burke, our vice president, is talking to people, and we're identifying these features and putting them into the thing as we go. And so this is one of the things. Hair is continuously a problem. How do we deal with it? We're going to throw in some fancy code, give you a checkbox, allow you to turn this on as needed, because it does duplicate a layer and then expand. You may not want that. And so then let's see. I did a rough demo, and so I was in the middle of doing this. I thought, we have Vizim's. How can I make this guy talk? And how would I go about doing it, having no use? And so what he says here is the cheese is old and moldy. And all I'm doing is, splitting the characters, going in, getting a list of the vizimes, which are in the vizime channel. And I can just say get blend shape group vizimes or phonemes, and then it's just done. And it took like an hour. It's not great, but like I said, I got about 40 minutes into this, and then I got an email that said, hey, someone's announced compatibility with their system. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, then I won't spend any more time on this. There's something better out there already. Well, the next thing I'll do is I will do, Dust in the Wind. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. It'll give me a chance to take a break. So I'm just going to show you, the demo guides again. For some reason, I did something, and I have to have him selected when I click play for him to work. But basically what this is going to do is age someone from 5 years old up to about 60. What I figured is in his 30s, he becomes a developer and he gains a lot of weight. And then in his 40s, he winds up getting a little built, but that doesn't last too long, and then he starts to get sort of old. And I apologize for that being the one that I had on hand. But basically, that's just, again, same thing. Character manager, get blend shapes, have a list of blend shapes, tween from value to value. I can show you the code if you want. But what if that became a game mechanic? And obviously, it can very easily. Character manager, get blend shapes, tween the blend shape values. The coin on the right will make him, well, if I have him selected, really wish I knew what I did there. The coin on the right will make him old, and so like I said, I set a 1 hour time limit. If anyone wants to come to the booth with me, I really want to finish this, but I'm going to set up like a little tunnel, and you can't go through the tunnel unless you move the box, and you can't move the box unless you're an old guy, but you can't get through the tunnel unless you're a small kid, and then that's just what you would do, right? So real simple, straightforward, totally powerful. You notice that he still runs and moves and everything with the different ages. There's no he's just working. We're working on messing with the avatar definition so that his speed adjusts, and we'll probably put that in as a checkbox because it may be jarring if you want to do that. And then the last little Hello World demo, and we'll go over the code real quick, is I call Space Ghosts and Goblins. Does anyone remember Ghosts and Goblins? A phenomenally hard and wonderful game. I really like old school games, obviously. And one of the things that I always remember about this guy is that he gets knocked into his underwear. Bam, right there. And then he gets hit again and he turns into a pile of bones, which is interesting. But the knocked in his underwear part, I think is like his clothes come off. It's pretty great. I don't have a knight on hand. I didn't have a knight on hand on the thing, but I do have a space guy. So what we'll do is turn on Mr. Space Ghosts and Goblins, and I'm sure that I will have to select him for some reason. What we have here is it? I'll zoom in a minute so you can get a better look. But basically what we have here is we have a space guy on the left and a lizard guy on the middle, and then a power-up coin. And so I'm just going to sort of walk through here, and then his armor falls off. He's in his space underwear, I guess. And then his armor will come back like that. And one of the questions we get, we're like, well, what about the efficiency? People are really concerned about efficiency. Totally get that. We're constantly working to improve efficiency. But what about the creativity, man? The fact that his armor isn't attached to him is a bonus in a whole bunch of other ways, and that's just one of them, right? You could mix and match those armor pieces. You could explode them off. You could have maybe his armor be next to him and help him out in battle, or there's all kinds of crazy fun things that you can do, and I hope that everyone is as fun, as inspired as I am by such a cheesy little demo. But let's go into the code real quick, and I will actually make a variation for you. So this one's a little longer, but it starts out the same way. I create this little list that we're going to store. We're actually going to clone the armor. We're going to put it in a list. This is all standard Unity stuff if you've instantiated things. The only difference here is how you get access to the armor. So each of these items on here have, so here's all the little pieces. There's just tons of them, right? All of them have this thing called CI clothing. And so anytime you want to get the clothing, you just get all CI clothing as a list, or you can get it from the character manager. Done deal. Okay? So that was my time. Okay, I'm just about done. So then what we'll do is we'll get all the stuff. We'll create a dummy. So it says explode armor, please, because good manners are important to have. And what you'll do is, if you can explode the piece of armor, I have a list up here in the hierarchy, in the component itself. I get to choose the things that I want to fall off of him so his underwear can stay on and his gloves can stay on. And then I just go and I create a static version of him just the way that I would. The physics takes over, and then later I make it visible again. And that's, I mean, it really is that simple. It's break time, so so I don't want to keep anyone any longer than I have to. I encourage you to download this on the Asset Store, and thank you for your time. Okay.